Hey, welcome to Crazy Biatch Asians. This is a podcast where we discuss the issues Asians can face in the Western world with a critical mind, a bit of healthy debate, and lots of tea. Hosted by Sydney-based digital marketer Sharon Jiang and journalist Juna Zhu.
Hey! On today's episode, we're tapping into Asian dating stereotypes. From the strange generalizations of what people think dating an Asian is like, to discussing the issue of interracial relationships and self-hating Asians, it's evident that dating as an Asian in the West certainly comes with many dilemmas. So buckle up, sit tight, because you're in for a bumpy ride. Shaz, I hate dating. End of podcast.
Me too. I mean, dating is not the greatest, especially online dating. With all these apps, you got Tinder, Bumble,
No,
Hinge.
thank you.
I mean, as though dating wasn't hard enough for everyone pre-2020, COVID days, COVID has really managed to make it even harder to get out there and mingle.
Literally, like at this point in time, my partner has to rock up at my doorstep because I am not going on any of those apps. But despite my lack of effort, I actually always tune into all those dating podcasts and YouTube videos because knowledge really is power, right? Mm-hmm. But it's entertaining content.
100%.
Do you find that too?
100%. They're my favorite things to listen to.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think this really resonates with our CBA fans because we asked our audience on Instagram what topics they wanted us to talk about, and Asian dating stereotypes came up several times.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite a topic that people want to know about. That's why we're doing this episode.
Exactly. So, I'm curious to know, Shaz, you're in a relationship and a very happy one too. But what has your experience been like dating as an Asian in the Western world? Please give us a brief overview.
I think dating as an Asian in Australia is kind of tricky because as much as you don't want race to be an issue, often it is a thing. For example, most Asian girls, myself included, will have experienced Asian fetish. Maybe not personally, but they would have seen it or heard about it. And that's a massive topic. So much so, we have done 2 episodes on it. Slight plug, episode 1 and 4. So dating apps can be so icky. Like I've had guys say, I've never dated an Asian before. It's like a bucket list thing for me. So in those circumstances, if I'm chatting to a non-Asian guy, the question of, does he only like me because I'm Asian is often a thing, right? And then you have to read the red flags. Listen to episode 1 for the red flags.
No, that's definitely a big thing. That's a continuous question that always just cycles through my mind.
Exactly.
Do they really like you for who you are, or because you have black hair?
Exactly. Or all the stereotypes.
Yeah, all the stereotypical traits of an Asian girl.
Exactly, which feeds into the Asian fetish. And if you guys don't know what it is, you can go back to our past episodes and find out more. And yes, just for the record, I am in a relationship, but he's super unproblematic and I've never had like Asian fetish issues with him. It's just more something I've experienced as a single girl.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, what about me? Let's start at page 1 of 1 of my dating life, shall we? So, a little fact, I actually only went on my first date when I was 23. So I'm 25 now, so I was a bit of a late bloomer. And I've never been in a relationship. And this was a result of a combination of me studying really hard at school and then focusing on pursuing my career right after high school, and then me just being a major introvert and having the confidence of the size of a pea. So all this combined, which when I think about it, they're all typical Asian stereotypes. You study hard, you earn money, and going out isn't allowed. Although this was all self-inflicted. So my parents aren't even to blame here. But of course, growing up, I always wanted to be in a relationship. You do all those cute romantic things that you see in movies, and you finally know what love feels like. But I did really struggle to put myself out there during my schooling years. I went to a predominantly Anglo school. So my perspective was this. I was this scrawny, ugly, unattractive Asian girl amongst all these beautiful Western people. So who the hell would want to date me.
Okay, can I just say for the record, you are not ugly.
Oh my god, girl, but...
And can I just say Asians tend to be late bloomers. So yes, in high school, I think a lot of Asians do feel really ugly because we tend to mature a lot later. So Asians kind of bloom in their 20s, late 20s.
Do you know, with braces, with the side fringe, with the acne?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was the opposite of hot and dateable. So not that I did date anyone, but this sparked the concept of me wanting to only date Westerners, so no Asian guy, because I thought that if I did do that, then it will make me less Asian. And if I did date an Asian guy, then it would just make me more Asian, which is not what I wanted.
Right.
So yes.
You really wanted to fit in to the Australian
I really wanted
culture.
to fit in.
Yeah.
And thank goodness my perspective has changed over the years, and I've matured, and I've managed to find my identity and become more content in my skin and accept that I'm Asian.
And it goes back to the point where I said that a lot of times dating as an Asian in Australia, you don't want race to be an issue,
No.
but often it is a thing. There's often this thing that I've noticed in the dating scene, and I don't think it's really talked about much, but we will talk about this a lot in this podcast. I found that some Asian guys can have a really negative reaction to Asian girls that have a tendency to date white guys. They'll say stuff like, oh, you only date white guys. You're one of those girls. Or, oh, you're a self-hating Asian.
It's
you're
like
so whitewashed.
The issue of white fetish instead of Asian fetish.
Exactly. And those are legit things that like Asian guys have said to me on dating apps. It's as if like race is everything in a relationship, but like 99% of the time, it shouldn't be, and it isn't.
Yeah. So on that note, let's just kick off into things.
Asian dating stereotype number 1 is the issue of interracial relationships and women being considered self-hating Asians, which is what we just talked about in the intro. So as we mentioned earlier, there is this issue where Asian women who go into relationships with predominantly white men, so if they have a tendency to date white men, they're considered self-hating Asians. It's also known as Lu, L-U. I've never heard of this before, but it's a slang term used to describe Asian women who are in relationships with white men as a form of white worship.
Wow. So you could kind of call this internalized self-racism.
Yeah, 100%. And this has led to some Asian men harassing Asian women for marrying non-Asian men because of the concept of marrying out only preserves the stereotype that Asian men are unappealing or undesirable.
Yes, this was perfectly summed up in this great op-ed on The Cut, where this woman called Celeste Ng, who was a Chinese American, and she was married to a white male, and they had a child together. And she wrote, "These Asian incels believe they're fighting a constant battle against a culture that's out to get them." She started off her article describing awful messages she was receiving from a stranger on the internet. And they wrote, "You hate Asian men. You hate your own child. You hate yourself." And then she wrote, "I once received 27 tweets calling me everything from irrelevant to liar to coward to neglectful gaslighting mother in 48 hours from one person."
One person? Who is this freak?
Yes, right? And then later on in her article, she writes, "In their messages, these harassers often claim Asian women don't care about the issues facing Asian men, or even that they believe these stereotypes."
Now, there's definitely a psychological reasoning behind this, which was highlighted in a 2020 article published in the journal Group Processes and Intergroup Relations.
Very recent.
Very recent, exactly. The researchers wanted to investigate how other members of a particular minority viewed racially mixed marriages within their own race. So they used feeling thermometers to test this. So, to simplify this, participants were asked a question like, how do you feel about couples where the female is white and the man is Asian? And on a scale of 0 being cold/dislike to 100 being warm/likable, they had to indicate their feelings towards that particular example. So to simplify this further, the study found Asian women were equally warm towards white hubby and Asian wife combo,
Yes.
as well as the reverse. But the Asian men participants indicated high warmth towards Asian hubby and white wife combo, but were cold towards white hubby and Asian wife couples.
And this was due to perceived mating competition. So interracial relationships potentially pose a threat because it reduces the available dating pool. They also mentioned in the study that this reflects the psychological phenomenon known as the mere exposure effect, which shows that humans have a tendency to prefer things that are familiar to them. In contrast, we have negative attitudes towards things that are unfamiliar.
It's the old Asian tradition. It's only acceptable for Asians to marry Asians. And when this doesn't happen, it's like a huge shock. Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, this isn't one study that's been conducted though. There's a wealth of articles online written by Asians living in the West who are either dating or married to a white person, and each of them have been the targets of racial prejudices. My question is this: why are we so bloody focused on skin color, sociology, and how it makes you feel about yourself? No one should feel bad for dating a certain race and as a result only enter relationships to please society.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been in a relationship, so I probably shouldn't talk so much on this, but isn't it all about commitment and communication and mutual respect and trust and sacrificial love, not the color of your skin or gender?
Yeah, I mean, you want it to be that way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think it's actually really complex,
Yeah.
especially when you live in a Western society
Yes.
as an Asian. You know, like, life is not simple and straightforward. Often race does become a thing. And yes, I agree that no one should feel bad for dating a certain race unless they have ulterior motives.
Yes, yes.
Unless they have ulterior motives. So that's like the whole Asian fetish thing. You should feel bad if you're in it for a certain stereotype and you're in it for...
Not for the person who they
Exactly.
are, but for their
Exactly.
looks.
Exactly. I think just like how there are white guys with Asian girls for the Asian fetish, I'm sure there are Asian girls with white guys for the social clout.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that was our mindset in high school, and it was a totally wrong mindset, but I'm sure there are people out there who do feel the same. So it's kind of like one bad apple spoils the bunch sort of thing.
Perfectly summed up. Okay, now Asian dating stereotype number 2. Asian men are awkward and unattractive. I mean, we've all heard this before.
Yes.
The Asian guy is that nerd at school, the one who wears the glasses and who goes on to study something like engineering, IT, or medicine. Society sees them at face value and nothing more.
Yeah, and I think this is a really ridiculous stereotype.
Oh, yes.
Because as we've pointed out in episode 3 of our podcast,
Another subtle plug.
Asian men are actually quite the opposite of awkward and unattractive.
Oh, yeah.
And thank goodness in recent times, Asian men are having their time in the spotlight thanks to Hollywood films and shows which hype up not only Asian talent, but good-looking Asian men.
Asian guys have had it really tough with this stereotype, and it was really highlighted in an interview on the show The Social with Simu Liu, the Kim's Convenience star. You know
I
him?
love him.
We
both love him.
yes.
Of course, Simu Liu.
Yes. So he was a guest on this show, and he began to talk about sexual stereotypes. But as he began to offer his perspective as an Asian man, the audience actually began to laugh. And this is when he called them out for laughing. So he said, imagine being a kid growing up and having none of the girls want to date you because of these types of stereotypes. And then in an interview later down the track, he commented on how he felt in that previous interview and when he heard the audience laugh. So he said, it honestly felt so surreal. I felt immediate shock that the audience felt like it was okay to laugh at what I had said when all I wanted to do was acknowledge that sexual stereotypes are harmful and untrue. He went on to explain how much he disliked growing up as Asian. Quote, I felt just totally and utterly castrated and undateable. It took a very long time for me to learn to love myself and where I came from, but I'd be lying if I said that it didn't still affect me today.
And look, despite Crazy Rich Asians' global success, you still have current shows portraying this belittling stereotype of Asian men.
Oh my gosh, have you watched Two Broke Girls and the character Han Lee?
Yeah.
Like, sure, he's the owner of that diner and he's
Yeah.
probably the most successful out of all the characters, but he was portrayed as this short, unattractive guy lacking experience with the women.
Yeah, I remember, because when I watched that show, the only thing they talk about him is not having a girlfriend,
Yes.
not being on dates, have no idea what to do, and it really just reinforces that stereotype,
And
which
it was
is so
just
sad.
He had broken English as well.
Exactly. So, I mean, this Two Broke Girls is so current. Like, how is this still happening?
Okay, another really awful recent example. So in 2017, comedian and talk show host Steve Harvey, who is a bit controversial, he joked about a book titled How to Date a White Woman, a Practical Guide for Asian Men.
This is an actual book?
This is a book. He claimed that no one could possibly like Asian men.
Oh.
Yeah. So he said, you like Asian men? I don't even like Chinese food. Boy, I don't eat what I can't pronounce. Those were his exact
Oh my
words.
God.
Yeah. And then this guy called Eddie Huang, whose autobiography actually served as the groundwork for Fresh Off the Boat, then responded to this crude comment from Harvey in an op-ed in the New York Times. He said, yet the one joke that still hurts, the sore spot that even my closest friends will press, the one stereotype that I still mistakenly believe at the most inopportune bedroom moments, is that women don't want Asian men.
And it's obvious through that we have a long way to go in order to prove to others that Asian men are not unattractive and awkward.
Yes. And if you do consider yourself awkward, then it is not race related at all. There are plenty of girls who are awkward too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Asian dating stereotype number 3 is no stranger to our podcast.
Oh,
We have done 2 episodes on it because it is such a big issue within the Asian community. That is Asian fetish. So we discuss it in both episode 1, the G-rated version, and episode 4, the more explicit X-rated version. Basically, there is a general stereotype that Asian women are submissive, docile, and sexually eager to please, which is super desirable to non-Asian guys for some reason.
You forgot one key word.
Exotic. So this misconception is so strong that it becomes a dehumanizing fetish and something that certain guys seek out. So it becomes a thing where a guy isn't dating you for you, but for your race and the stereotypes around it. We talk a heap about Asian fetish in detail, so have a listen to those episodes to understand more about this.
Okay, we thought we'd conclude with a few of the hilarious but not so hilarious generalizations of what it's like dating as an Asian that live on the wonderful internet. Honestly, some things that we came across are complete doozies.
Absolutely, yep.
Chaz, I'm going to list the internet's top generalizations of what it's like to date an Asian guy.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
There was a blog post I stumbled upon called Differences Between Dating an Asian Guy versus a Caucasian Guy.
Okay, shoot 'em.
Okay, I want
ready.
you to answer myth or fact. after I list each.
Okay. All right.
Asian guys are lightweight.
Can go both ways.
Asian guys have better manners.
Fact.
Asian guys live with their parents.
Often fact.
Asian guys aren't masculine.
No, man.
Asian guys aren't good at expressing emotions.
Perhaps a fact.
Asian guys seek their parents' approval.
Perhaps a fact.
Asian guys don't like public displays of affection.
That's quite outdated.
Asian guys have small packages.
I have no idea and I have no comment. I am not commenting on that. I actually do not know, so no comment.
These are really quite general, aren't they? Like,
Yes. Very, very
Okay.
general. Yeah.
I have seen so many Asian guys who are very masculine.
The manners thing. I mean, it just depends. It depends, right? I mean,
Your upbringing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of non-Asian guys who have really good manners
Yeah.
too. It's just, yeah.
Also, like, Asian guys live with their parents. So if you're Caucasian, then you can't live with your parents?
I think it may be like live with your parents
Because they rely on their parents more? I don't know.
Or is it kind of like a saving money thing? I think maybe like Western guys, they move out.
They're
at 18.
more independent.
Yes, but Asians are a bit more like communal, a bit more, you know, support your family sort of thing. A bit more, I don't know, maybe that's what it is.
Asian guys aren't good at expressing emotions.
Maybe that's most guys in general, though. I don't think that's a race thing. That might just be a gender thing or a personal thing. Yeah.
Asian guys don't like public displays of affection.
I think that's very traditional. I think today's generation, it's not like that anymore.
No.
It might have been like that like 50 years ago, but
what
not
your
anymore.
parents think, but not anymore.
Exactly.
I've seen lots of public displays of affection by Asian guys.
100%. And also, I feel like this list, it differs if you're an Asian living in the West as opposed to an Asian living in an Asian country. Yeah. Okay, now it's your turn. I'm going to list the most common generalizations of what it's like dating an Asian girl. All right, more loyal and less likely to cheat. Remain virgins well into their 20s and 30s.
What the hell? What?
30s.
I think that's very traditional.
Family is important to them. She is obedient and respectful to her
Oh
parents.
god, this is like Asian fetish repeat.
Yeah, literally. Traditional.
Yeah, traditional. Not anymore.
They love foreign partners.
What? Where did you get this list from?
The internet, girl.
No.
They love music.
So you can't like music if you're... What?
That's a weird one. They fantasize about you.
This is so general.
I know.
What?
So no.
Myth. These are all myth.
They prefer long-term relationships.
Okay, well, if you're going into a relationship short-term, then you gotta... Yeah, you have issues.
Or like they prefer long-term relationships over one-night stands.
Oh,
that's
right.
what
Yeah. I think so. That's,
Okay.
Yeah, half true.
They prefer to keep a reserved image of themselves.
What about like AVGs? They're not very reserved,
That's
are they?
true. That's true. Again, it just
depends on your style.
yeah.
Like,
Okay, the last one is really weird. Early in the relationship, your Korean girl, so it's very specific for some odd reason, may want to go through your phone to check if you are seeing another woman or not. And why is it only Korea? Like, why not anywhere else? What? Why is it just Korean girl?
oh my god, what the hell? That's a strange ass list.
But okay, what I find really strange is they love music.
That's the one that's... Okay, wait, we're talking about like Taylor Swift, K-pop.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, white girls don't like music? I feel like most people like music. What? And what else? Family is important. I feel like, look, that is more just an Asian culture stereotype rather than dating an Asian person stereotype. What did you find to be really weird?
Just the music.
Yeah.
And they love foreign partners. I mean, like...
I think that goes into the white fetish thing.
Yeah.
So I think, like, some people, that does definitely relate to it. It's an interesting list, but I don't think we agree with a lot of them, and definitely not the music one. That is so generalized.
So if I don't like music, then I'm totally Western.
Exactly.
It's time for CBA College. You know, like your tutoring school, except don't worry, we won't keep you here for hours lecturing you about geometry and calculus. Instead, both of us will be sharing our most interesting fact of the week, so you actually walk away from this podcast having learnt something.
Mine actually links up with today's episode.
Ah.
So it's related to dating, and it's related to the production of children.
Oh.
Okay, so mine is about the genetic legacy of Genghis Khan. A study in 2003 found that apparently up to 16 million men, so 1 in 200 men in the world, are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. For those who don't know who Genghis Khan is, he's a Mongolian warrior and ruler born in 1162, who was one of the most famous conquerors of history, and he brought all the tribes of Mongolia under his rule. In its peak heyday, the Mongol Empire ruled a huge area from China to Iran and parts of Russia. This is what's gonna freak you out.
I'm like more interested in this part.
It's estimated that he impregnated 1,000 women.
Repeat that again.
1,000 women. So
3 zeros.
30. So he would have slept with at least 1,000 women because he impregnated 1,000 women.
Wait. Okay, how old was he when he died?
How old was he when he died? Oh my god, I need to search that up.
Because
Genghis
I just want
Khan.
to work out the mathematical side of this.
Okay, approximately 65/72. Obviously, this was so long ago,
Yes.
we don't actually know legit.
But that's not a very long life.
No,
So he was
exactly.
pretty busy every day.
Yeah, 100%.
And there was 1,000 women that he impregnated. So what about the ones that he didn't impregnate but still
exactly.
had intercourse with?
Exactly.
Still had coitus with?
So if he had impregnated 1,000 women, the study found that approximately 1 in 200 men in the world is a direct descendant off of Genghis Khan.
Guys, go on Ancestry.com. I want to know who's a descendant of Genghis Khan.
So we're talking about dating today. I think Genghis Khan was the most successful guy in the history of dating and the history of sexual relation.
Oh my god, wow, that is an amazing fact.
Yeah. So there you go, Genghis Khan. Maybe we're direct descendants of him.
I don't want to be a descendant of Genghis Khan, to
Who
be
even
honest.
knows? Okay, what's yours?
I don't think my fact is going to top yours. That was pretty impressive, Shazza.
All right, shoot. Is it still carrying on your theme of grossness?
It's kind of gross,
Okay.
but not that gross.
Okay.
So have you ever realized that a lot of Asian guys, especially the older guys, have their pinky, their fingernail is long.
Oh, I've seen that with
Yeah.
Asian women, but not so much with men.
I see
Why
it a
is
lot
that?
when I travel through Asia.
Really?
The Asian guys always have a really long pinky.
I feel like I know why it is, but I'm going to let you speak.
Okay, well, there are various reasons as to why Asian men grow out their pinky fingernail only.
Okay.
So one of them is, in Singapore, a long pinky fingernail signals higher class because if you had to work in the fields, that fingernail would break off and it would be impossible to grow.
Okay.
And then following this class theory, some believe that if the tip of the pinky passed the second knuckle on the annular, so the finger right next to it, that you were genetically of a more respectable class and others would give you more respect. So men would grow out their pinky nail to elongate their pinky length to elevate their status.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it's a class thing.
But then
Okay.
you see a lot of people across China especially who have this one long fingernail and they aren't of high class. So there is another understanding that the reason people grow out their pinky fingernail is so that they can pick their nose and ears.
I knew it! I was like, it's to pick their ears. I bet it's to pick their ears.
But then there's another theory.
Oh, no.
I don't know how much truth there is to this one, but some people... I don't know, this is the internet talking.
No, go. I think I know what you're going to say. Go for it.
They use it for sexual reasons.
Oh, I thought it was to like pick their bums.
Oh, ew, gross. But you can imagine how much crap is under that nail anyway.
Wait, ew, why would it be for sexual reasons? That doesn't make
Anyway.
any sense.
I don't know, so...
Oh, I feel like picking the bum makes more sense than sexual reasons. Ugh.
Yeah, quite gross, but not that gross. I don't know, I really liked your fact this week, Shaz.
No, that
well
was
done.
great. That was great.
10 out of 10 for you. Well, that podcast has definitely made dating harder than it should be.
Yes. I think we've really like overthinked this.
Thought?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Overthought this.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you so much to our lovely listeners who sent in this topic suggestion. It was very insightful to say the least, and it has
100%.
completely turned me off dating even more so. Hello, nunnery.
We just want to point out that these are specifically East Asian stereotypes
Yeah.
we've mentioned. So if you are from any other ethnicity that falls under the Asian umbrella and have other stereotypes we didn't cover, please let us know. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram or you can email us.
And if you'd love to hear from us, please subscribe to Crazy Biatch Asians on your favourite podcast app. And if you've got a sec, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so we can keep going.
See you all on the Instagram at Crazy Biatch Asians for the best Asian memes. And now you can find us on YouTube, and TikTok.
Because we're just everywhere, aren't we?
Everywhere.
We're infiltrating your lives, people.
They're all under the same username at Crazy Biatch Asians.
And on that note, we'll see you in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. Chat soon, gang.
Bye.